Hello all, in this video we're going to be making kale chips. First thing you want to do is preheat the oven 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and in the meantime we will prepare the rest of the components for this recipe. And there's not much needed. Obviously we'll need some kale. I'm using about a half a bunch of kale, and the way you want to cut them is just basically you don't want any stem. You want to try to get all the leaves. You can use a knife, or you can basically strip the leaves off of the stem with your fingers, which is my preferred method. I tend to save the stems and use them in different recipes such as stock. You can put them in soups. They're a little bit tough, but they are very nutritious. Here I'm using a spin dryer to dry the kale leaves. If you don't own one of these marvelous gadgets, you can use paper towel, or you can use a kitchen towel. And here they go, they're all dried up pretty quick. Now I'm going to drizzle the kale with a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon for this half a bunch. If you have big kale leaves, you're going to want to rip them apart so they're just about bite-sized. You're also going to want to add some pepper. And you'll also need a baking sheet. I simply lay the kale leaves onto the baking sheet so they're not overlapping at all. And when they're laid out nice and flat, not overlap, that's when I sprinkle on a little bit of salt, just before they're ready to go into the oven. And into the oven on the bottom rack. We're going to put it in there for about 15 minutes. Alright, so one batch is all done here, and I want you to pay attention to the crunch, the crispiness, and also pay attention to the color. If you overcook them, they will turn black. Ideally, you want the edges to be slightly browned. Now you're probably wondering how to get them off if they stuck a little bit on the baking sheet. Simply use a spatula and scrape them right off. And they should all be crunchy. If some of them are still a little bit moist, you can just basically put it right back into the oven for maybe about 2 or 3 minutes. Here I'm displaying just basically how much salt I put on one batch. It's just a little sprinkle. You don't want to oversalt it. So that's pretty much it. Kale chips. And they're delicious. I mean, you're gonna love them. So good. If you did it just right, well, every piece is going to be crunchy, and it's not going to have moisture in it anymore. If you haven't had one of these before, you're missing out.